And Vice President J.D. Vance will lead a discussion about the Jeffrey Epstein case with top officials from the Trump administration today. We're told the officials will debate whether to release the transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's conversation with Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. And CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins me now. So, Katrina, what more do we know about this conversation between the Deputy AG and Ghislaine Maxwell and this meeting on whether to give the public a chance to listen to it?
Well, Tom, we've learned that during that discussion with Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell, supposedly nothing came out that would harm President Trump. She said that she didn't see any behavior from him that was concerning. And this is something people have been wondering about because this meeting seems shrouded in so much secrecy, took place over 2 days. Very unusual for the Deputy Attorney General to go and meet with a convicted felon. But we do now know that there is a recording of this, that there are transcripts. And as you mentioned, they're going to be meeting tonight to discuss what they want to release and how. Will this be a news conference? Will it be an interview? What will the public get to see from this? There is obviously so much curiosity here.
Yeah, this really has taken a life of its own on social media, especially with so much interest. So, you know, we also got new reaction from the relatives of one of Jeffrey Epstein's most well-known accusers, Virginia Giuffre, someone President Trump has said was stolen from him while employed at Mar-a-Lago. So what did they say?
So, Tom, this was a powerful interview that Gayle King did this morning with Virginia Giuffre's brother and sister because Virginia Giuffre committed suicide. She can no longer speak for herself. Let's listen to what they had to say.
In conversations with Virginia, she really described Ghislaine as almost this puppet master, that she kind of was the brains behind recruiting the girls and really used like her womanhood to build that trust and lure these girls in, and then the mask would slip.
I think if anybody needs to be heard, it's the survivors. They should have a voice. They should have a platform to be able to stand on. And right now, all we're listening to is somebody that is known to be a perjurer.
And that has been a big thing here, Tom, that the administration is talking to Ghislaine Maxwell, but what about all of these victims? There was also a moment where they read from Virginia Giuffre's journal. She said, "I have physical and mental scars that will never heal. I have memories that will never go away. They say time can heal, but this won't. Not until justice makes an example out of these people with so-called privileges." So her siblings were saying, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to this minimum security prison, potentially cutting some kind of deal with the administration. That is not something these victims would want.
And so, you know, jumping off of that, Maxwell's legal team also issued a new statement in response to efforts to unseal grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case. What's the latest on that?
So Maxwell is against these grand jury records being unsealed. What they said is Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but Ghislaine Maxwell is alive. She has a pending appeal in front of the Supreme Court. She has a habeas petition, and because they don't know what's in these transcripts, they don't want them out there. They say that it could harm her case and that there's not a precedent for this.
Yeah, something we're going to be following, no doubt, in the days and weeks to come. Katrina Kaufman, thank you for that analysis and that reporting.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, let's go now to CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro for more on this. So, Aaron, good to see you. What did President Trump say about the Deputy Attorney General's meeting with Maxwell?
Yeah, Tom, good to be with you. Yesterday, President Trump was asked if he believes that Maxwell is, quote, credible and someone worth to be listening to. He responded by first praising the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who represented Trump on a personal basis in the Stormy Daniels case in 2024. While the president's ties to Epstein in the past has been heavily scrutinized in recent weeks and months, the president said he did not talk to Blanche about his meeting with Maxwell. Take a listen to President Trump's quote here.
I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, you know, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
President Trump was also asked about the move of Maxwell from Florida to a different detention facility in Texas, and he replied that he, quote, didn't know about it at all, but also added it's, quote, not a very uncommon thing.